We are not born with bias, but having them does not mean that you're racist or discriminatory. It simply means you're human. So I remember being a very young mom, not as young anymore, but very young mom of my 2 little kids. And you know that moment when you know you get to have a night off and you're like doing that weird happy dance because you know you're going out? I mean, we love our kids, but seriously, they're little energy suckers at the end of the day, let's face it. And so you get to go out. So I was calling my mom and I said, hey, guess what? I'm going out tonight. This is my mother. Oh, that is very wonderful. So what you're telling me is that Leonard is going to be babysitting the children? No, what I'm telling you is that Len is parenting his children this evening. Okay. Right? I think it is absolutely fabulous that your Leonard takes the kids when you go out of town, like you think it's your privilege to go out of town for work. And Leonard will actually get the kids ready. He feeds them. He gets them to the daycare on time. He goes to work. He comes home, and then he picks them up. He changes the diapers. He gets them to bed. What an amazing father. Do you think I've ever once heard, what an amazing mother you are? Never. Biases, for the most part, exist in 7 specific areas: gender, race, religion, sexual orientation, disability, emotional and physical, age, and weight. Those are the areas that we have, for the most part, unconscious biases. I thought, Tina, I don't have any friends that I know of that are lesbians. I don't have any clients that felt it was important for our work together to come out to me. And I realized my exposure was limited. I binge watch a ton of Orange is the New Black. That's my exposure. Now, happy to report that I have my new bestie here, Robin. Yeah, the love. Now, I didn't have a lesbian best friend. When we actually recognize our biases, we start to break them. So here I am at She Day, breaking the bias with Robin, my new bestie. I know, woot woot. It's based on 60,000 performance reviews. And what they noticed was that men were seen as more favorably and described in more complimentary terms than women were. Women were always described in more negative terms. And this isn't just from men. This is from other women. When are we going to get to the place where we start to lift each other up instead of tear each other down and recognize this in ourselves? Psychological safety at the workplace is just as important as our physical safety. If we can't have conscious, courageous conversations with our bosses, with our managers, with our leaders about what our intentions are when it comes to having or not having children, we don't have authenticity at work. And at the end of the day, what do we have if we don't have that? Maternal bias absolutely affects our great dads as well. Because women are often given flexible hours, flexible arrangements, but I have talked to many men who have asked for the same things and definitely have it looked upon them in a negative way, simply because they want to be engaging, thoughtful fathers. And we don't reward them for that. So I think maternal bias in and of itself is a bias. We should be calling it parental bias because it affects us all. So we'll say things like, he's going to make a great culture fit for our organization. So we'll use the framework of culture fit. In essence, it can be a form of affinity bias. Because what affinity bias truly is when we hire people or associate with people because they remind us of ourselves. So let's talk a little bit about strategy and how we can start to mitigate those biases that exist. When you're looking at anything like resumes or even proposals coming in, if you have an RFP, a request for proposals, you want to be taking all of the personal information out. Names, addresses, even universities. Why do we want to do this? Well, statistically, women and people with ethnic sounding names will be hired at lesser rates than men. So if we take the names out, you take out the bias. So why do we care? Why do we care anyway? We keep hearing these buzzwords, diversity and inclusion. Who cares? Why do we care? I'm going to tell you why we care. Why we care. Integral reasons. It's not just the right thing to do, it's actually the more profitable thing to do. When we spend more time with our work colleagues than our own spouses and partners, don't we want to be inspired when we do it? Diversity is who's on the team. Inclusion is who gets to play. If we can't change the way we look, let's change the way we start to see. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.